Good morning. We are back. Quarantine Stream 2020. Let me share this page and we'll get rocking. All right. Now, we're coming in this with a fresh perspective. Had a nice night's sleep. Didn't drink any alcohol, so my brain is fresh. Even though it's boring times out there and we're all stuck at home, you still gotta work, right? All right, I'm just gonna start before I even watch this. I know that I want to now cut this video as tight as I can, so it's really it's not boring at all. So what I'm gonna do is go back through some of the old footage. I'm just gonna mute the audio and try to find some really dynamic footage that I haven't used yet. Hi, Baymax. Come here, sweet kitty. We've got a visitor. Let's see if he makes an appearance on camera or just stays at my feet. He's a sweet boy either way. Let me check one thing here. That looks good. Okay. Hi, Maisie. You want to come up? I decided you want to come up. What a good boy. You going to help edit? Okay. Mm-hmm. Oh, you're so fluffy. You got brushed yesterday. See, like I haven't used that shot at all. And now I'm going to click back to this bottom timeline, zoom it out some. And I'm going to start pulling these shots that I like onto that timeline. Oh, you got my headphone. Hey, that's not a Tui. That's not a Tui. You can go. Okay, good boy. Well, that was always fun. They should be in and out throughout the day. I'm sure we'll see his brother here at some point too. I like this shot. For these shorter videos, less than a minute or less, if the camera's not moving, I want the people to be moving. So I'm just looking for really dynamic stuff. Okay, yeah, like this shot right here. Yeah, like that might not make sense in a longer form piece, but here where we're just trying to get stuff flowing and vibing, I think I can use those kind of more off the wall shots. In the camera pan right there. I like the lighting, but I don't know. That's all I like about that shot. We already have her doing this bridge sequence down over here from yesterday. So I'm just kind of doing more of that kind of stuff. Okay. I like this. This fits the brand message. This guy had a really funny mat. It said "Devour yourself" and had a donut like a Taurus. And I thought that was some really subtle spiritual type humor. And I tried to get a shot of it, but you know he was busy doing his thing on the mat, so I could never get a clean shot of just that text. Little fun things you find working with people. Stuff like this. So you can see a little bit of my lighting setup there. I just built, I just really built off the, fortunately it was a cloudy day if the sun was pounding through there. I mean, it would have looked cool. It just would have all been silhouette-y, and there would have been not much I could do about it on the fill side. And, but yeah, so I just kind of built the lighting to keep directionally, but like punch back further into the space. So there's a 300D in a softbox right here, and I think you can kind of see the next light up here. That might be some of their rigging, but there's basically that 300D, then another 120, and then another 120, like because this is a really big room. But that kind of helped even out the exposure a little bit, so I could save all this detail in the windows. But if you notice, it's even for the further back, like these people were kind of really far back in the space, and it was so dark I was still kind of blowing out the windows even with what I added. So maybe in hindsight would have been smart to keep like have someone almost like Hollywood, like a tube light or something for fill on the backside, so I could save those windows. But not a big deal. You can still kind of see the buildings in the back. I'm sure with a power window you could get most of that back too. And obviously I'm not going to show this because there's a light in the shot. See, this shot kind of sees, it starts out dark and it gets brighter the more you go back. And if I didn't add any lights, I mean, it would have been much more of a difference. Okay, so those were all my shots on the Ursa. So like all my handheld stuff. I'll do like this with the hands. And this was, some of it's on tripod too, like that shot was. Then the interview footage. We're good on that. So this is an interesting. The direction looks very natural because it's just building off the natural light in there, but you can see like how little of it was from the actual daylight, what's hitting their face and in the wall and stuff. And that's so we can essentially all the daylight in the room's getting cut out, so I can keep that background detail right there. Just helps add some production value to the shoot. Shout out to Josh, the Jordan's husband, who also owns Misfits. They own it together. Shout out to him for helping me rig some stuff that day. That was a huge help. I was sore after the shoot. I would have been dead without you. Okay, now we'll get into the gimbal shots. I already grabbed this one. Definitely going to use that somewhere. Yeah, I like that shot too. Some of these are a little dark. That's a little jittery. Already used that shot. That could be useful. Yeah, I didn't include this one yet. I got that one. That could be cool. Yeah. Watch that in real time. See, that's the kind of stuff that can actually work in these kind of videos. We'll see, maybe. I mean, I don't know for sure until we start cutting it. All right, I got this shot for sure. That's a hero shot. I got that one. Yeah, that was kind of weird. Let me watch it again. Yeah. Yeah. Whoa. That is cool. Need that for sure. I wish that was a little more stable. All right, now it's just all the environment stuff. So, now, all right, we've added a lot of stuff to cut in. Now I'm going to go looking for some spots where I feel like we're going to rewatch what I did yesterday.
Anyone I know that does yoga says that it changed their life. So I was like, how cool would it be to share that with people, to maybe be the person who introduces someone to something that can completely change everything. And so the first studio I ever went to, I asked the lady, I was like, hey, how do I do what you do? Like, I want to teach. And she, explained all of the steps to me, and it was probably not even a year later that I signed up for a training. Literally invested my life savings in a training and made the steps to be a yoga teacher. One of my favorite quotes that stuck with me throughout training and has stuck with me throughout opening a business and taking all of these risks is to feel like you can do anything, do the thing that scares you the most. And I just come back to that over and over again because it's so true. Every time I do something that is terrifying, every time I try a new pose that I might fall and bust my face in, every time I open a business or do something crazy, I come out feeling so powerful and like I could literally take on the world.
Alright, couple things. It's looking pretty good to me. One thing I want to do, this shot looks a little, like maybe I didn't pull the whites up high enough. Oh yeah, that's what it is. I was trying a little too hard to kill some of that harsh gradient look, but it just wasn't popping enough. Yeah, there's a rig right there. Oh yeah, okay.
Crazy. I come out feeling so powerful and like I could literally take on the world.
Cool. Actually, I'm sure the answer's somewhere in the middle of those two. Yeah. Okay. One spot I noticed, could this clip here, we could probably sub out for something different. This just didn't really fit the motion and the cadence. This forward motion kind of shot right here, nice and quick. Turn my magnet thing back on. Oh wow, that's the exact length I needed.
Everything. And so the first studio I ever went to, I asked the lady, I was like, hey, how do
Yeah, so that's
yoga says that it changed their life. So I was like, how cool would it be to share that with people, to maybe be the person who introduces someone to something that can completely change everything. And so the first studio I ever went to, I asked the lady, I was like, hey, how do I do what you do? Like, I want to teach. And she, explained all of the steps to me, and it was probably not even a year later.
Yeah, I like that better. Let me see. Hi, Topaz. I take slight issue to this. I didn't shoot this at the correct exposure, to be honest. It's a little too dark. So let's see if we grabbed, by chance, something a little bit cleaner. Where'd all those other clips go? Huh? We're gonna back up here. What in the, oh, this video one. I was like, man, I just did all that work. Where'd all those clips go? We're good. Calm down, dude. That's like almost every day. I'm just like, what? Where? There's not enough screen real estate for like a multiple timeline, blah, blah, blah. I can actually now get rid of that because we've pulled all the clips we're going to use. That will alleviate that. Oh yeah. This shot can be pulled back. That will look cool there in that little space.
Everything. And so the first studio I ever went to, I asked the lady, I was like,
all right, pull that back. Zoom out. Is that you, Shane? Yep. Put that there. Move the cursor. Zoom back in. Cut it to length.
And so the first studio I ever went to, I asked.
I want like the fastest part of the movement. Most exciting.
Everything. And so the first studio I ever went to, I asked the lady, I was like, hey, how do I?
No, I actually liked the motion of the other shot better. So that's not going to go there. Process of elimination. We take our time, we'll find the best one. Let me move some of the space, get rid of some of this. So I'm not being inefficient. I really like, I'm super into this shot, but the hole that we're trying to fill is pretty small, and I wouldn't mind using a little more of it. Let's see if we can work around that. We're definitely not trying to make it paste any slower, so maybe I should just give up on
Anyone
trying to put longer clips in there.
I know that does yoga says that it changed their life. So I was like, how cool would it be to share that with people, to maybe be the person who introduces someone to something that can completely change everything. And so the first studio I ever went to, I asked the lady, I was like, hey, how do I
Okay, I see a way to give and take here, though.
to share that with people, to maybe be the person who introduces someone to something that can completely change everything. And so
I can probably shorten that clip a little bit, pull that there, and then run this for just a hair longer, because that just felt a little too long to me anyways.
okay. So I was like, how cool would it be to share that with people, to maybe
And we could even do this.
that does yoga says that it changed their life. So I was like, how cool would it be to share that with people, to maybe be the person who change their life. So I was like, how cool would it be to share that with people, to maybe be the person who introduces someone to something that can completely change everything. And so the first studio I ever went to, I asked the lady, I was like, hey, how do I
Yeah. I like that. Now we can do this.
share that with people, to maybe be the person who introduces someone.
That's a little too early now. Okay, perfect. We're going to close some of this gap up.
With people, to maybe be the person, like how cool would it be to share that with people, to maybe be the person who introduces someone. Anyone I know that does yoga says that it changed their life. So I was like, how cool would it be to share that with people, to maybe be the person who
I want to be on that wow of the synth.
people to
I think that's right there. Oh, it just wasn't short enough. Oh.
I was like, how cool would it be to share that with people, to maybe be I know that does yoga says that it changed their life. So I was like, how cool would it be to share that with people, to maybe be
Okay, yeah. It's just a few frames too early. That's when you turn that little thing off. Stretch that out.
to share that with people, to maybe be the person
Yeah.
Anyone I know that does yoga says that it changed their life. So I was like, how cool would it be to share that with people, to maybe
It's like, wow. It kind of sends you into the next shot with the beat.
be the person who introduces someone to something that can completely maybe be the person who introduces.
So I'm just gonna be tightening. Try and make it line up with that snare drum.
To share that with people, to maybe be the person who introduces.
So I gotta cut more. Hi, babe Max.
Share that with people, to maybe be the person who introduces someone to something that can completely change everything. And who introduces someone to something that can completely change everything. And so the first studio I ever went to, I asked the lady, I was like, hey, how do I do what you do? Like, I want to teach.
Okay, the shot's too long. We can add some more stuff right there. For sure. Because we're getting into the drop, we need to be boom. Moving.
Anyone I know that does yoga says that it changed their life. So I was like, how cool would it be to share that with people, to maybe be the person who introduces someone to something that can completely change everything. And so the first studio I ever went to, I asked the lady, I was like, hey, how do I do what you do? Like, I want to teach. And she, explained all of the steps.
Also this to consider.
And she, she explained all of this. She explained all of the steps. She explained all of the steps to me, and it was probably not even a year later that I signed up for.
Let me let him slides otherwise because he does not care. He just does what he wants because he's a sweet kitty and he doesn't care who knows.
She explained all of the steps to me, and it was probably not even...
Right, so hold on.
Anyone I know that does yoga says that it changed their life. So I was like, how cool would it be to share that with people, to maybe be the person who introduces someone to something that can completely change everything. And so the first studio I ever went to, I asked the lady, I was like, hey, how do I do what you do? Like, I want to teach. How do I do what you do? Hey, how do I do what you do?
We may end up with some a little bit different pacing in the interview. I didn't even think about this. I forgot I had to cut all the ums and oohs out. I didn't do that yesterday.
Change everything. And so the first studio I ever went to, I asked the lady, I was like, hey, how do I do what you do? Like, I want to teach. She explained all of the steps to me, and it was probably not even a year later that I signed up for a training. Literally invested my life savings in a training and made the steps to be a yoga teacher. One of my favorite quotes that stuck with me.
Okay. First, I want the video with it. Let's pull this back. So, honestly, like, you can come this way too. Let's try this.
Anyone I know that does yoga says that it changed their life. So I was like, how cool would it be to share that with people, to maybe be the person who introduces someone to something that can completely change everything. And so the first studio I ever went to, I asked the lady, I was like, hey, how do I do what you do? Like, I want to teach. She explained all of the steps to me, and it was probably not even a year later that I signed up for a training. Literally invested my life savings in a training and made the steps to be a yoga teacher.
Yeah. So we don't have to add that little bit at the end about then I made the steps. Like, you already said you invested it, so.
Literally invested my life savings in a training.
Has more impact that way.
One of my favorite quotes that stuck. One of my favorite quotes.
Just take that and it helps.
One of my favorite quotes that stuck with me throughout training and has stuck with me throughout opening a business and taking all of these risks is to feel like you can do anything, do the thing that scares you the most. And I just come back to that over and over again because it's so true. Every time I do something that is terrifying, every time I try a new pose that I might come back to that over and over again because it's so true. Every time I do something that is terrifying, every time I try a new pose that I might fall and bust my face in, every time I open a business or do something crazy, I come out feeling so powerful and like I literally take on the world.
Okay, that's all pretty clean. It's not really changing much for me because I like this little few seconds for it to breathe right here. But it does mean we can start to pack this in a little better.
Anyone I know that does yoga says that it changed their life. So I was like, how cool would it be to share that with people, to maybe be the person who introduces someone to something that can completely change everything. And
I kind of like cutting to her interview footage.
Completely change everything. And so the first studio I ever went to, I asked the lady, I was like, hey, how do I do what you do? Like, I want to teach. She explained all of the steps.
No, I'm gonna keep the motion rocking. What will it get here?
To share that with people, to maybe be the person who introduces someone to something that can completely.
1 second. Read time. If you were watching it all yesterday, you saw how many clips that got reversed to change the camera motion.
To maybe be the person who introduces someone to something that can completely change.
Yeah, looks way better going down. So now let's find something that's kind of following that path and trajectory, that downward kind of vibe. That's cool, but it's kind of similar to what we already been using. That could be it right there. Yeah, I think this is the answer to that. There's also one other clip from the handheld footage I didn't pull in that I kind of like.
Introduces someone to something that can completely change everything. And so the first...
And naturally, you know, I'm going to reverse this. Change, and the way you do that, you right click, change clip speed. Just click this box right here. It says reverse speed. And
completely change everything. And so the first...
Now we went from up to down. But I want the guy's face and end on the guy's foot. Actually, that's perfect. See? So that top left frame in the preview, let me make the preview bigger. So this box right here, and yeah, there we go. So this frame, when I come in here, there's this whole strip along here that'll help you with your timeline tools. And if you remember all the shortcuts and stuff, I kind of forget them for this. I do like using shortcuts when you can because it saves you a lot of time. But I don't always. I know A and B, and this one's T. I definitely use those. And what they do is B lets you cut. A is kind of your cursor. You can click around, highlight stuff, do what you would expect that to do. And then T is what I was just using to make this window pop up right here. And that's your ripple kind of slip tool, I guess. I'm not even sure what it would be titled. But this is perfect because that top left of the guy's head is showing me the first frame of the clip. The part of his foot is the last frame of the clip, you know, as I have it on here time-wise. So if I were to make this a lot longer, and then hit this and try to move it, you see that the start clip is exactly the same. The end clip has changed. And then those two things on the bottom, oh man, gotta be careful with that. Those two things on the bottom, let me go back to it for you. Yeah, they are showing the last frame of the clip before it on the left, and on the right, the first frame of the next clip after the clip that I'm slipping. And, you know, I can just line this up however I want, but I was saying, the timing's perfect because it starts on his head and ends on his foot. That's really like ideal. So let's watch it.
How cool would it be to share that with people, to maybe be the person who introduces someone to something that can completely change everything? And so the first...
see, I was wrong. That's okay. I'm gonna start above his head and give this a few more frames to kind of lock onto his foot. If you don't go a little past it, sometimes it doesn't register in your head. But that's okay. We got plenty of room for that shot.
One to something that can completely change everything. And so the first studio I ever went to, I asked the lady, I was like, hey, how do I do what you do? Like, I want to teach. And she explained all of the steps to me, and it was...
I think I have an idea of what could go here. Also, oh, yep, here, gotta go down to video 1 again. I made this bigger. Had that problem about 5 minutes ago. I lost all those clips I'd pulled in the timeline. Thought I lost them. What would look good in that spot would be probably towards the end. Yeah. This one. That's a cool shot. I think that will look nice here.
Anyone I know that does yoga says that it changed their life. So I was like, how cool would it be to share that with people, to maybe be the person who introduces someone to something that can completely change everything. And so the first studio I ever went to, I asked the lady, I was like, hey, everything. And so the first studio completely change everything.
Yeah, I want this to start
someone
here.
to something that can completely change everything. And so the first studio I ever went to, I asked the lady, I was like, hey, how do I do what you completely change everything? And so the first studio I ever went to, I asked the lady, I was like, hey, how do I do what you do? Like, I want to teach. To share that with people, to maybe be the person who introduces someone to something that can completely change everything. And so the first studio I ever went to, I asked the lady, I was like, hey, how do I do what you do? Like, I want to teach. And she explained all of the steps to me, and it
Yeah, that feels a lot more fluid to me. But I do think this action's happening just a little too fast. So what I'm gonna do is come back up into here and go for, I've got this clip where I tried to, boom, we had talked about the lighting earlier. Okay, let's see if any of these are usable or not. Not really. God, this handheld footage was shaky. I was burning that day. I did way too much physically. I think that'll work. I like that song. What's that, Glass Animals or something? Oh yeah, we're going this way with it. Alright, calm down, bud. Come over here. Video 3. We want to replace... You son of a bitch. Uh-oh. No, I don't want to do that. Never mind. We gotta Control Z this, because I don't know where this... Okay. Not too bad. Not too bad. Okay. So what I'm gonna do now is bring this in over here. It's hitting... When I bring it to video 3, it's getting to the same music track. So what I want to do is just delete the audio before I try to drag it in above that clip and fit it on. So, no harm, no foul. Boom. Alright, yeah, so like, this is just a little...
completely change everything.
There's not much to hang on to right there in terms of like subject matter. The guy's face is cool, but it really, the motion needs to finish on his foot for it to make sense, and that's not fitting the beat. So I'm going to try this clip because I think the motion's just a little bit faster in general.
Can completely change everything. And
yeah, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to reverse that. I hope we don't see Jordan walking too much in this.
something that can completely change everything.
Okay, cool, she's standing still.
And so something that can completely change everything. And so
Yeah. Definitely gonna need to stabilize this. These one really positive thing I can say about both the Blackmagics that I have, the Pocket and the Ursa, are their rolling shutters really low, which means you don't get a lot of wobble and jitter in the image when you shake it, which means it can be stabilized out because your sensor wasn't like actually causing distortion, even though you move the camera a little too fast and a little too jittery. It's able to track all that because your readout speed, which is what rolling shutter is, like how fast your sensor can read the data on it. They have a really fast readout speed, so they have low rolling shutter, which means that they've stabilized a lot better than any other cameras I've used in the past. It's kind of nice.
And so the first
That was the end of the clip, I guess.
completely change everything.
Not in perspective, though. That was horrible.
Completely change everything. Completely change everything.
Similarity did way better. Let's try translate too. It's not perfect yet. Translation, whatever it's called.
Completely change everything.
I like similarity better. But what I am going to do is turn down the cropping ratio so it'll punch in a little harder.
Completely change everything. Completely change everything.
There's still that little funkiness in the background. Let me turn the... What happens if you turn the smooth up all the way? Oh, let me come in here also. I'm going to move my camera up to the top here. I'm messing down here with these controls in the bottom left. Cropping ratio, smooth, leaving the strength where it is. So, whoa, what happened to that?
Introduces someone to something that can completely change everything.
What the hell? I've never seen that happen. There we go.
And so the first introduces someone to something that can completely change everything. And completely change everything.
Yeah, so it seems the more I turn the smooth up, the more obvious it is in the background. Stabilization is something it's definitely very intriguing to me as a topic. That's about as smooth as it's going to get, I think.
Completely change everything.
Yeah, that's good enough. I want to stabilize this clip too. It didn't need much.
Introduces someone to something that can
There's a little whoop, 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 whoop in the gimbal though.
introduces someone to something that can completely change everything. And so the first
Yeah, that's perfect. Let me just grade this shot really fast. Not an ideal workflow, but you know, I watched this last night before bed and already could tell I wanted it to be a little faster paced than it is. So that's what happens.
completely change everything. And so
All right, this is an interesting opportunity here to just see what. Oh, and then let me put my shared nodes from yesterday on. If you're what the hell? Reset itself. If you aren't familiar with why I'm using these shared nodes, yesterday they are shared node 2 is just some saturation because this is the log image, and shared node 1 is something I tried out yesterday where I kind of just keyed the midtones and added a little contrast to them, but left the shadows, the highlights where they are, so I'm not crushing all those top end details in the low end, but you still get a little punch to the image. So I just added those. Now I want to add a power window right here. And what is a power window? So power windows are, you can kind of mask, if you ever use Photoshop, mask out. If you're from the audio world, this is almost like adding layer, like a multi-banding adding a layer to stuff, and just affecting like a certain part of the sound spectrum, or like in Photoshop it's just masking out part of the image on a layer and then only affecting that one little section. Davinci calls it power windows, and they're pretty cool. So I've grabbed this window here, and I just want to see, for the sake of the kind of the raw image, what's left there. Looks like everything. I'm not obviously that looks horrible. I'm not gonna pull it down that far. Just curious what's there. Pull down the gamma some. And I may not do anything to these at all, because you can definitely see that there's feet and whatnot passing through the window. So you can see the difference in exposure that's causing on them. And that would mean you'd have to like roto that stuff out. And it's just not really like that important, that background out of focus in the out of the window with a cloudy white sky anyways. So I don't think I'm going to use this in the shot at all. I was just trying to see what kind of details there from like, because this is clipped. So let's look at the waveform a little bit. Right there. Doesn't look like... Okay. I mean, it's just, this makes sense. It's a white sky with no detail. So there's no really highlights to recover. There's no detail there anyways. And it looks like it was clipped in. Because we're definitely not... Sometimes you can come in here, pull your highlights down, and in all this like data in the image that's like on the building, for instance, here, let me just cut this clip part out with the power window. Oftentimes when you think you're completely clipped, there's still some detail in there that you can, like this, for instance, if it had been shot like this. With raw video, one of the advantages is sometimes there's a little more data left up in there that you can bring back. And I mean, I think a good instance is the building. It looks pretty gone, like on a Sony, like a mirrorless camera. Like I don't think you'd even be able to pull the building back like that. And that's the actual color it was, like that cream color and stuff. So yeah, I mean, I'm just like trying to see. I'm still new to the Ursa, so I'm just seeing like what it can do, like how much it can hold and stuff. So anyways, yeah, so sometimes you got your stuff clipped here, you bring it back down, then you start to see all your peaks and stuff, and you can even expand them back out with this highlight recovery tool sometimes. If they look clipped, and it'll pop it back up to 1023, and you'll see like a half stop or more detail left in there. I use that a lot more on the Pocket 4K too, though. I've noticed I haven't needed it on the Ursa yet. Delete that. I want her skin tone a little brighter. Excuse me. I'm going to head back into these curves. And just pop up some of these low mids. We were doing 5,600 for this yesterday. What happened to the volume?
Says that it changed their life. So I was like, how cool would it be to share that with people, to maybe be the person who introduces someone to something that can completely change everything. And
okay, that doesn't look right to me. Let's figure out why. Just gonna reset the grade. And remembering my settings in here. 0.25, 0.25, we use similarity. Start back with that. This definitely, the Ursa is a 4.6K sensor, so I'm shooting DCI 4K. You gotta zoom in 1.7 just to get it to fill the frame. And I'm gonna start over on this curves adjustment thing. Maybe we will blow out the windows. You know, these skin tones are a lot more important than. Okay, that's too much. Bring that down. So up. It's getting there. I think I do want to. It's looking better a little bit. I think I'm gonna keep this white balance a little warmer. Makes sense. The shadows are cooler, darker in the back of the room, so. Let's add our saturation. A little life back there. And the mid-tone contrast. Yo, what happened there? Goodness gracious. Oh, I got the highlight thing. It was only showing me the range. Oh, maybe that's why it looks so weird.
Introduces someone to something that can completely change everything. And
that looks a lot better.
Introduces someone to something that can completely change everything.
That's a little too bright now.
Completely change everything.
Yes. Let me pull up my false color here. This one's giving me a lot of trouble. Yep, that's where we want her. Alright. Maybe we can give. Oh no, I want that to pop like that. That's perfect. Okay. The window shall be blown. Let's reset this image. I'm interested to see how this grades manually. First of all, okay. Now, I didn't completely try to blow this image out either.
So I asked Lady, I was like, hey, how do I do?
Yeah. Make my life easier. You know, I want to start a little further back though.
Completely change everything. And so the first studio I ever went to, I asked Lady, I was like, hey, how do I do what you do? Like, I want to teach.
Alright. We're getting somewhere. Start with our shadows. That's not too bad. This next shot's really contrasty. So I think they'll match pretty good. Let me add. Boom. What's this white balance at? Okay. Oh, that's good. That.
And so the first studio I ever went to, I asked Lady, I was like, hey, how do I do what you do? Like, I want to teach. She explained all of the steps to me, and it was probably not even a year later that I signed up for a training. Literally invested my life savings in a training.
Alright, I'm gonna have to figure that out. What's going on right there? Oh, I see. Gotcha. I'll definitely delete that. Save this real quick. And
Anyone I know that does yoga says that it changed their life. So I was like, how cool would it be to share that with people, to maybe be the person who introduces someone to something that can completely change everything. And so the first studio I ever went to, I asked Lady, I was like, hey, how do I do what you do? Like, I want to teach.
alright. I'm starting to notice a few things with the color grade. This shot, I'm gonna let fall a little bit in shadow. Not too hard though. Just let the blacks punch a little. That looks nice. And then this one is just a little too bright.
Introduces someone to something that can completely change everything. And so the first studio I ever went to, I asked the lady, I was like,
This one, the shadows are just gonna have to milk out a little bit.
so I asked the lady, I was like, hey, how do I do what you do? Like, I want to teach. She explained all of the steps to me, and it.
All right, now let's grade this shot because we haven't yet. Don't need either of these actually. This is this is a good nice wide shot. You can really see a lot going on. Exposes all your issues with the lighting all at once. I might expose a little too hard for the window on this one. Could have gone a little brighter. And just add a little bit more down at the bottom. We're going to add our saturation node. Add that node. And then maybe come up a tad on that. I think that looks right.
She explained all of the steps to me, and it was.
Yeah, it's fitting in nice. Okay. Now, I think I'm gonna watch it, the whole thing again. Now that all these things are kind of matching a little better, and see where else we can fit some of the rest of these clips in that I pulled earlier. So let's see what we have. Let's see what we have left to use as well. Those two are cool. I don't think I'll use that one. Nah. This would be a cool one to work in. It's pretty abstract. That might work too somewhere in here. I like the sequence. That's nice too if we want to make a little thing of that. That one stabilized oddly well. It looked like there wasn't anything wrong with the gimbal when I did it. But we shall see, we shall see. Okay, I do like that little shot pulling away. Okay. Let's watch this whole thing, see where we're at.
Anyone I know that does yoga says that it changed their life. So I was like, how cool would it be to share that with people, to maybe be the person who introduces someone to something that can completely change everything. And so the first studio I ever went to, I asked the lady, I was like, hey, how do I do what you do? Like, I want to teach. She explained all of the steps to me, and it was probably not even a year later that I signed up for a training. Literally invested my life savings into training. One of my favorite quotes that stuck with me throughout training and has stuck with me throughout opening a business and taking all of these risks is to feel like you can do anything, do the thing that scares you the most. And I just come back to that over and over again because it's so true. Every time I do something that is terrifying, every time I try a new pose that I might fall and fuck.
Okay, I see a few things. For sure. For sure. This shot of this group, I want to move here to the end when I'm going to be using the space again to end the video. The lobby space. not just the space. The yoga mat is part of the space too. Ambiguity is the enemy, guys. Don't be ambiguous. Then people don't know what you mean.
Every time I try a new pose that I might fall and bust my face in.
So that was one spot. This shot can be shortened quite a bit too. Let me start it there. And maybe that.
Probably not even a year later that I signed up for a training. Literally invested my life savings in a training.
Short.
For a training. Literally invested my life savings in a training.
And then we're gonna shorten that and lengthen her.
That does yoga says that it changed their life. So I was like, how cool would it be to share that with people, to maybe be the person who introduces someone to something that can completely change everything. And so the first studio I ever went to, I asked the lady, I was like, hey, how do I do what you do? Like, I want to teach. She explained all of the steps to me, and it was probably not even a year later that I signed up for a training. Literally invested my life savings in a training.
All right, let's just line these cuts up now that I've rearranged everything. So where's she ending? Yep, that's perfect.
Literally invested my life savings in a training.
One frame too early.
Literally invested my life savings in a training.
A little further back.
Literally invested my life savings in a training.
Well, I went too far. One the other way.
I signed up for a training. Literally invested my life savings in a training.
It's not lining up with the beat. That's the issue.
For a training. Literally invested my life savings.
Let me mute her voice for a second so I can hear the beat. Okay. Oh, no. That was weird. I was on the ripple tool instead of the select tool. Command Z is my best friend in this program, guys. It saves me. Whew, trust me. Let's try this. Okay, we need her to come in sooner. Huh. Yeah, I like that. Hold on. I don't actually. I'm gonna be on that second kick. That's what I'm saying right there. We gotta keep this a little different though. Yeah. Okay. And then now we've got some room here and here to add some more clips. What would work movement wise? Let's check out. A lot of side to side stuff going through that section. So one thing I noticed too, now that I added these feet, I should switch these around. And coming into our change clip speed, we're gonna reverse. No, that doesn't work. All right, cool. No worries. How does this work? are all going the right direction. So let's see if we got some lateral movements to keep that flow going. I know we do. Because we got this guy. The Devour Yourself guy. He was cool. See what I mean? I want to use less of this, which is perfect because then we get to use more clips anyways. Start it here. Let's unmute Jordan too.
Do what you do. Like, I want to teach. She explained all of the steps to me, and it was probably not even a year later that I signed up for a training. Literally invested my life savings in a training. Probably not even a year later that I signed up for a training. Literally invested my life savings in a training. Life savings in a training. One of my favorite quotes that stuck with me throughout training and has stuck with me throughout opening a business.
Let's see. I think that
Explained all of the steps to me, and it was probably not even a year later that I signed up.
What happens if we do this? Reverse this.
She explained all of the steps to me, and it was probably not even a year later that I signed up.
Yeah, I like that. There's a little gap right here.
Probably not.
There it is.
Probably not even a year. All of the steps to me, and it was probably not even a year later that I signed up. I want to teach. Like, I want to teach. She explained all of the steps to me, and it was probably not even a year later that I signed up.
So just making everything line up with the beat. And yesterday I had thrown it like close enough to just get a sense of feel for the piece, but now these are all our finishing details. So what time is it? Almost noon. Perfect.
Like, I want to teach. She explained all of the steps to me, and it was probably not even a year later that I signed.
Is that really short?
She explained all of the steps to me.
So I just want to get some variation in the timing of the clips too. I don't have anything that's like just super pops. If you just go like, say you were to take a house song like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. If you just made your change every one, your video would get so repetitive so fast. So, I'm just keeping things on rhythm, but
First studio I ever went to, I asked the lady, I was like, hey, how do I do what you do?
no clip is.
I want to teach. She explained all of the steps to me, and
It's not like I'm cutting on the snare every single measure, or I'm cutting on that downbeat every single measure. Everything lines up a little bit different and unique in its own right. So, and that's kind of how you end up making these holes and spaces. I like leaving that little last bit to the end. Cut it down, because it kind of lets you get some variation in your timing and stuff naturally just by trying to fill in the gaps. If I try to think about it too hard, it really doesn't work. Maybe try this right here. I know we kind of cut into her in a different pose, so this might not work, but let's just see.
I want to teach. She explained all of the steps to me, and it was probably not even a year later that I signed up for a training. Literally invested my life savings.
It works. Okay, cool. Let's reset this because that's the old, just the regular, applying your LUT from the raw tab. I guess it's not technically a LUT. when you do it this way, but it's just, it looks the same. So I'm trying out a little bit different grading style for these. Let me try that. That's nice. Tweak it a little bit, maybe not. Looks pretty good to me.
That I signed up for a training.
That's the reason why I'm wondering if it might need to be adjusted is because I just copied a grade from the Pocket 4K one straight to it, but it looks really good. Oh yeah, we're on this timeline. Go back to clip. Yeah, not much to mess with there. That's cool. Interesting. Do that. Okay, the wider shot needs a little love. That's a little cranked in the whites.
Probably not even a year later that.
This might be a good time to use a power window here. Because if I remember right, yeah, that detail's there. There's no, all the motion in the shot's her and a little bit from Jordan, but it's okay. She's out of focus.
Probably not even a year later that I signed.
Hold on.
Probably not even a year later that I.
Let me come out of this tab. Oh, my bad. I need to do that on its own node. General. That's too much. You come in here and zoom in too. So 4.6K resolution fits on my timeline. You know, this actually, I think this is a good instance. Instead of trying to hit just the window, this whole background's too hot. I'm looking at this guy's chest and stuff. I'm gonna use a little bit simpler power window, I think, to use, which is just a gradient. And it's just going to take these brighter sections and kind of tone them back a little. Even out the exposure a little without touching her much, if at all. That's before, after. Looks a little more natural. Let's do another one on the window too. Just for practice. So that one, we're going to use the polygon tool. And remember, the building was like pretty low in the shot. I'm trying to key in as little of it as I can because her arm cuts across the window and you can kind of see it when you change the exposure.
Probably not even a year later that I.
Now the building's back, it looks a little bit more natural.
Probably not even a year later.
And the shadow that her hand is hitting, that could be whatever. It's so unobvious, and it only crosses his path for just a split second. You know, I could even try to hide it better.
Even a year later that I signed up for a training, literally invested
That looks great. So, I mean, this is kind of pretty unnecessary even. Like these two adjustments right here. And hold on, let me get out of that window. I hate when I can see it. Don't show me the preview, dude. So here's no power windows. I like, and let's double check this on our false color. We could pull this whole shot down. Actually, and kind of do ourselves a favor. See if we even need the power windows now. They still kind of add a nice look. I'm definitely gonna make this a little less intense though. Before, after. Yeah, it still looks nicer with it. Absolutely. That looks a little funky actually. Let me get it nice and close in here. We wanted to get the whole building in the background, but not all the extra stuff.
Probably not even a year later that I signed up.
Dope. All right.
The steps to me, and it was.
This shot needs to be stabilized. It's a little jittery.
The steps to me. The steps to me, and it was to teach. She explained all of the steps to me, and it was.
Why does that just look not quite feel right? Let's do this.
She explained all of the steps to me. All of the explained all of the.
I think it's supposed to start right there.
She explained all of the steps to me, and it was. This lady was like, hey, how do I do what you do? Like, I want to teach. She explained all of the steps to me, and it was probably not even a year later that I signed up for a training. Literally invested.
Okay, I'm gonna watch this whole drum section. So like from where this part is.
And so the first studio I ever went to, I asked the lady, I was like, hey, how do I do what you do?
Yeah, it's not synced up. Hold on.
And so the first studio I ever went to, I asked the lady, I was like, hey, how do I do what you do? Like, I want to teach. She explained all of the steps to me, and it was probably not even.
Okay. Yep, gonna clean this up a little.
Studio I ever went to, I asked the lady, I was like, hey, how do I do what you do? Like, I want to teach. She explained all of the steps to me, and it was probably not even a year later that I signed up for a training. Literally invested my life savings in a training. One of my favorite quotes that stuck with
Timing issues here.
Stuck with me throughout training and has stuck with me throughout opening. One of my favorite quotes that stuck with me throughout training and has stuck with me. One of my favorite quotes that stuck with me throughout training and has stuck with me throughout opening a business and taking all of these risks is to feel like.
Okay, so I'm probably gonna potentially scrap this clip. It's just a little dicey.
Anyone I know that does yoga says that it changed their life. So I was like, how cool would it be to share that with people, to maybe be the person who introduces someone to something that can completely change everything. And so the first studio I ever went to, I asked the lady, I was like, hey, how do I do what you do? Like, I want to teach. She explained all of the steps to me, and it was probably not even a year later that I signed up for a training. Literally invested my life savings in a training.
I'm pretty happy with that. if anyone thinks it could be better
One of
in
my
any
favorite
way,
quotes that stuck with me throughout training.
yeah, if you have any, like, anyone watching thinks this could be cooler in any specific way that you might be able to add, please, I'm all ears. Like, one of the most exciting parts about doing these live streams is that I can learn from other people too, and while I socially distance myself from the world during Quarantine 2020. Get down, baby. Okay, I'm happy with where things are. Let's get this second half rocking. Oops.
One of my favorite quotes that stuck with me throughout training and has stuck with me throughout opening a business and taking all of these risks is to feel like you can do anything, do the thing that scares you the most. And I just come back to that over and over again because it's so true. Every time I do something that is terrifying, every time I try a new pose that I might, it's terrifying.
I want to add another clip there. Real short one.
With me throughout opening a business and taking all.
What can be added there that would look cool? Those don't match lighting wise. Would that might work. We'll see.
That stuck with me throughout training and has stuck with me throughout opening a business and taking all of these risks is to feel like you can do anything, do the thing that scares you.
Kinda works. We might have something better. You know, let me try this one.
Favorite quote that stuck with me throughout training and has stuck with me throughout opening a business and taking all of these risks is to feel like you can do anything, do the thing that scares you the most. And I just come back to that over and over
feels
again
a little
because
nicer.
it's so true. Every time I do something that is terrifying, every time I try a new pose that I might fall and bust my face in, every time I open a business or do something crazy, I come out feeling so powerful and like I could literally take on the world.
So some clips I'm really trying to make sure I use. Let's see if there's any like I really want to add in here. I like that one of Shane. That we might be able to get that one in there. This one I'm okay if I don't use. This would be a cool one to add. That could be cool. That's a pretty shot too. This kind of fit the vibe I've been using. And what else? Is this the last one? Yeah, I don't know about the lighting on that one. Yeah, okay. So I'm thinking if I can get this shot and this shot into here fluidly, we could be in really good shape.
With me throughout opening a business and taking all of these risks is to feel like you can do anything, do the thing that scares you the most.
Yeah. Hell yeah, that's working.
Taking all of these risks is to feel like you can do anything, do the thing that scares you the most. And I just come back to that over and over again because it's so true. Every time I do something that is terrifying, every time I try a new pose that I might fall and bust my face in, every time I open a business or do something crazy, I come out feeling so powerful and like I could literally take on the world. One of my favorite quotes that stuck with me throughout training and has stuck with me throughout opening a business and taking all of these risks is to feel like you can do anything, do the thing that scares you the most. And I just come back to that over and over again because it's so true. Every time I do something that is terrifying, every time I
kind of like the idea of like jumping
again because it's so true. Every time I do something that is terrifying.
Into the exciting part. So.
Back to that over and over again because it's so true. Every time I do something that is terrifying.
I definitely don't need all. I really only need till the feet land. Let's try this.
All these risks is to feel like you can do anything, do the thing that scares you the most. And I just come back to that over and over again because it's so true. Every time I do something that is terrifying, every time I try a new pose that I might fall and bust my face in, every time I open a business or do something crazy, I come out feeling so powerful and like I could literally take on the world. You can do anything, do the thing that scares you the most. And I just come back to that over and over again because it's so true. Every time I...
There's some funkiness going on here. We're going to have to figure out this ending part again.
All these risks is to feel like you can do anything, do the thing that scares you the most.
I'm thinking like this.
That scares you the most. And I just come back to that over and over again because it's so true. Every time I... All these risks is to feel like you can do anything, do the thing that scares you the most. And I just come...
I'm going to try to reverse this. So, once again, when your motions are fighting each other in terms of direction and stuff, that's when I reverse things. As long as people aren't walking in the shot, it really works good.
Opening a business and taking all of these risks is to feel like you can do anything, do the thing that scares you the most. And I just come back to that over and over again.
No, it's the
and taking all of these risks is to feel like you can do anything, do the...
It's this shot that's changing the motion direction. And it looks fine next to this shot.
Risks is to feel like you can do anything, do the thing.
It almost looks like you went like in a little S butt. And it's throwing off the rest of the flow.
That scares you the most. And
because those shots connect.
Scares you the most.
If they were just timed to the beat.
The thing that scares you the most. And I just come back to that over and over again because it's so true. Over and over again because it's over again because it's so true. Every time I do something that is terrifying, every time I try a new pose that I might fall and bust my...
Okay, we're getting there. We're like really not too far off.
Is to feel like you can do anything, do the thing that scares you the most. Throughout opening a business and taking all of these risks is to feel like you can do anything, do the thing that scares you the most. And I just come back to that over and over again because it's so true. Every time I do something that is terrifying, every time I try a new pose that I might fall and...
I'm going to try to add this here.
True. Every time I do something that is terrifying, every time I try a new pose that I might fall and bust my face. Every time I try a new pose that I might fall and bust.
Let's see how that fits.
You can do anything, do the thing that scares you the most. And I just come back to that over and over again because it's so true.
Okay, first of all, let me iron out a few details. Let's get this lined up.
Again. Because it's so...
And then that little weird zoom is because I don't have the whole clip stabilized. So now we do.
Because it's so true. Every time I do something that is terrifying. Every time I try a new pose that I might fall and bust my face in. Every time I open a business or my face in.
I'm going to mute her dialogue so I can hear the snare hit. That's it right there, that little transient. Tighten this up. Now what I'm not sure of is, are we going to lengthen what's on the timeline? Or try to... Oh, there's one shot I didn't get put in. Okay. That kind of starts to answer my question. I'm trying to fit another clip in here. This doesn't need to be this long. Okay, I'm not gonna do it that arbitrarily. Okay, yeah, never mind. We didn't even get this to where we needed it. Perfect. Let's try this shot instead. Disable this for a second with D. D is your shortcut for that. How does this motion work? Okay, so I don't want to use any of that anyways. Maybe just from here to there. Let's see. Let's just try reordering what we have already. That's better. This is a timing issue. Alright. My brain's a little mushy, so I'm gonna go use the restroom. Stretch myself a little bit. And I'll be back up here in a minute. I'm gonna leave my All right, I'm back. One thing. Let me check one thing. All right. So, let's see where we were. I think right. Just check a few things. Yeah, a little too bright. All the feeds working, I think. Yeah, we're back up. Okay, great. I think we were right here. Yeah, I just need to line things up on the beat now. Okay. Needs to be right there. Get a little bit of a march going here. Whoa, I think I might be able to make something work here. That's where it needs to go. Right on the beat. Unmute her voice.
I come out feeling so powerful and like I literally.
Hey, we're getting pretty close.
One of my favorite quotes that stuck with me throughout training and has stuck with me throughout opening a business and taking all of these risks is to feel like you can do anything, do the thing that scares you the most.
Gotta get a little more caffeine in me. I've been drinking that Mio B vitamin stuff. It's hella cheap. And no sugar or anything, some vitamins. Seemed like a win-win. That stuff actually got me like way too hype, and then I looked up the serving and like how much caffeine in it was stuff. Started like using it like you're supposed to, and it's good stuff actually.
These risks is to feel like you can do anything, do the thing that scares you the most. And I just come back to that over and over again.
So that shot of this is one of their instructors, Shane, right here. And I wanted to use this, and now that I've cut everything on beat, I got like a perfect little hole for it. Let's see if it looks right.
Do the thing that scares you the most. And I just come back to that over and over again because it's so
cool. Because that wasn't looking right earlier the way we had it placed. I mean, the color grade's all over the place on these, but I'm just looking at timing, camera motion right this second.
Do the thing that scares you the most. And I just come back to that over and over again because it's so true. Every time I do something that is terrifying, every time I try a new pose that I might fall and bust my face in, every time I open a business or do something crazy, I come out feeling so powerful and like I could literally take on the world. That I might fall and bust my face in. Every time I open a business or do something crazy, I come out feeling so powerful and like I could literally take on the world.
All right, I'm gonna watch this whole thing now. And unless there's some weird spots, I think that might be it. I got a few more clips I didn't use here, but like I either use them in the other piece or it's just like they're not necessary. That one definitely we're not going to use no matter what. I just don't see where this would go in this piece. Got so many shots of them.
Anyone I know that does yoga says that it changed their life. So I was like, how cool would it be to share that with people, to maybe be the person who introduces someone to something that can completely change everything. And so the first studio I ever went to, I asked the lady, I was like, hey, how do I do what you do? Like, I want to teach. She explained all of the steps to me, and it was probably not even a year later that I signed up for a training. Literally invested my life savings into training.
I noticed one little thing.
Literally invested my life savings into training.
This
Signed up for a training.
didn't start right.
Probably not even a year later that I signed up for a training. Literally invested my life savings into training.
Watch that a couple more times.
She explained all of the steps to me, and it was probably not even a year.
Yeah, okay. It's starting further back than I realized.
Me, and it was probably. And it was all of the steps to me, and it was.
It needs to start here, actually.
All of the steps to me, and it was probably not even a year later that I signed up. She explained all of the steps to me, and it was probably not even a year later that I signed up for a training. Literally signed up for a training. Literally invested my life savings into training.
Feels pretty good. Let me back up a little. Let's watch this whole section.
Introduces someone to something that can completely change everything. And so the first studio I ever went to, I asked the lady, I was like, hey, how do I do what you do? Like, I want to teach. She explained all of the steps to me, and it was probably not even a year later that I signed up for a training. Literally invested my life savings into training.
Almost. I still want this to start differently.
Me, and it was.
Gotta mute her again. I wanted that 808 right there. What's this gonna do though? Oh, something's okay. We're gonna get this. It's the only way to do it. Is that really where I hear it wanting to be? My brain like wants it to come in a certain spot. And I think that was right. Okay. Let's keep tightening it up. Whoa. I'm struggling right now. Should this be even further back? Oops. Let's try this one. What in the heck? Shouldn't be touching your interview. There you go.
She explained all of the steps to me, and it was probably not even a year later that I signed up for me, and it was.
Okay. Is this it right here? Definitely need to change this to that.
She explained all of the steps to me, and it was probably not even a year later that I signed up for a training. Literally invested my life savings into training.
Okay, we can use another shot now. Also, sorry about my cough. I do not have the coronavirus. That is some seasonal bull crap from pollen that I deal with every year, and we are not going to talk about it right now.
She explained all of the steps to me, and it was probably not even a year later that I signed up for a training. Literally invested.
What would look good here?
Steps to me, and it was probably not even a year later that I signed up for a training. Even a year later that I signed up for a training. Literally invested my life savings in a training.
Maybe that shot could be. Man. Oh, it got me. Ooh. Need an inhaler. Okay. A little bit of a storytelling piece here is going on with her interview. So I'm thinking maybe this could work. Just trim. Kind of just have this pan over to Jordan. Let's try that to start.
Me, and it was probably not even a year later that I signed up for a training. Literally.
I'm gonna start it even sooner. Have it go to there. Boom.
It was probably not even a year later that I signed up for a training. Literally invested my life savings in a training.
That works. Do I love it? I don't know.
One of my favorite quotes.
You watch it again.
She explained all of the steps to me, and it was probably not even a year later that I signed up for a training. Literally invested my life savings in a training.
I don't think it has the payoff with the motion that I want. It's a little too subtle. That could work. That is too slow. That could work. Let's try this first. It's got the best image quality. Smooth, well lit.
Not even a year later that I signed up for a training. Like I want to teach. She explained all of the steps to me, and it was probably not even a year later that I signed up for a training.
That looks really good. But it still just I want something to like whip and send us into the next shot if possible. I mean, either of those are okay if we can't get it. So this has the most woo to it, even though it's a kind of shaky shot. Whatever. It's got energy to it. That's what Barry Ackroyd would say.
Later that I signed up for a training. Literally invested my life savings. Probably not even a year later that I signed up for a training. Literally invested my life savings in a training.
I like that the best so far. Let's see.
And so the first studio I ever went to, I asked the lady, I was like, hey, how do I do it?
What's up, Team Bait? I'm going to try to chat back with you guys. What's good, my dude?
Like I want to teach. She explained all of the
Definitely
steps
really
to me,
trying to
and it was
encourage
probably not even a year later
feedback
that I
in the
signed up
live
for a
chat
training.
discussion.
Literally invested
Get
my
some
life
stuff
savings
going.
in a training.
Let me watch that again, sorry.
She explained all of the steps to me, and it was probably not even a year later that I signed up for a training. Literally invested my life savings in a training.
It's got the energy I want. Let me just get it timed up perfectly.
Probably not even a year later. Even a year later that I signed up for a training. A year later that I signed up for a training.
See what we can. I want to bring this in, so let's really get this going.
I signed up for a training.
Why was that shot so shaky, man? I need to do better. I do know it was tough to shoot in there. It was cramped and hot, and I just rigged a bunch of lights and was really tired.
I signed up for a training.
You know, you hit the gym more.
I signed up for a training. I signed up for a
So it's bypassed.
I signed up for a training.
Now let's look at it on.
I signed up for a training. Literally invested my life savings in a training.
Let's address the shot doesn't really match. It's not as punchy as some of these other ones. Alright. Let's see where the whole thing's at one more time before I make any color grading adjustments and then wrap this project up.
Anyone I know that does yoga says that it changed their life. So I was like, how cool would it be to share that with people, to maybe be the person who introduces someone to something that can completely change everything. And so the first studio I ever went to, I asked the lady, I was like, hey, how do I do what you do? Like, I want to teach. And she explained all of the steps to me, and it was probably not even a year later that I signed up for a training. Literally
I see where the project is now. I want that to come in on the kick, not the snare.
Probably not even a year later.
Right there.
That I signed up for a training. Literally.
I just probably need to make it longer. Well, let me reset that.
Later that I signed up for a training. Probably not even a year later that I signed up for a training. Literally invested my life savings in a training.
This shot's got too much blue in it. Faux show. I'm gonna hit that with a secondary color correction on a hue versus saturation, and just tone it down a tad a little bit. Maybe even warm it up 100 degrees or so. Yeah, and I think it's too bright. Let's pull it back. Just stuff. Might be more in the contrast curves actually that I can fix some of this. Get out of that into our regular. Pull that down a little and hit the blacks a little harder, but pull up the low mid some so we can see some stuff on the back shelf. I don't know, it's just like it looks too milky in certain spots and not perfect in others. But let me try something here. Yeah, I'm just gonna try a little move here, see what happens. Because that's just a little too washed out. And that's just a little too dark. Alright, so let's try to take the difference to start with. I like it ending up right there. It needs a tiny bit of a gradient power window to take care of this little bright spot down here. Boom. Open up for me, bud. Flip it around. Add a little softness to it. And just kind of cut down on the mids here. Just bringing it all into the same space. Let's check out my false colors. Yeah, that's healthy. These whites maybe should pop a little harder. And then I'll probably have to come back on my, yeah, oops, go back to clip. Then see, now this is just too bright right here because it would make sense. Like these are in shadow, but they're my subjects, so I need to expose for them and get all that going right first. So, how are we gonna do this? Very carefully and with some keyframes and such. There may be a faster way to do it, but I don't know what it is. This is really where we want it to end up. I think this could be even brighter. I really do. I feel like it could sit here and pull the lift back to give it the contrast it needs. That, I mean, minus the motion blur looks a lot nicer to me. It definitely matches this shot a little better. Once again, let me check these. Yeah, this could be a little brighter too. Turn that off. That's the, in case you're wondering, time in pixels. I found these guys, they advertise on my Facebook feed, this false color plugin, and I'm using the one that looks like the Blackmagic colors because those are the ones I'm used to on my camera. I like it in post. Helps me match shots really easily. Make sure they're where they need to be brightness wise. And now I'm gonna do this. I really like how this looks. This shot right here. So I'm gonna grab this still. I haven't used this yet since I've been streaming. And go ahead at this split screen. Oh, let me get out of the timeline view. Back into clip. And now I'm gonna try to match these a little better in terms of brightness and exposure and stuff. Let's just no, I think I just need to come down a little more on my, crush my shadows a little more. Let's look at our false colors here. Yeah, those, the edge of that frame on the CVD flower is hitting those yellows just barely. That looks good. Okay, so now I get rid of that, but also get out of that. Oh, wait a minute. If I was in there the whole time, it means whatever I did to this didn't take. But I wasn't. Okay, we're good. Never mind. Never mind. In case you're wondering why I was mumbling to myself, I'm flipping between clip and timeline nodes to activate and deactivate this false color plugin. And sometimes I accidentally start tugging on the controls right here, and that's a bad look. Now we're in clip. Great. Okay, so this is looking right here at the end. That looks great. What doesn't look so great is the part that's not in shadow right here. Also, let's check down this part on our gradient little power window we just made first. I want that to match a little better. Yeah. That just gets a little too bright without it. That looks nice though.
One of my favorite quotes that stuck with me throughout.
Great. Okay, so now we're gonna try to even out the two halves of this image. I like where it ends, hate where it starts. So let me add a new node. This is where we're gonna do the keyframing. There's two things I noticed. One, the exposure's too hot. And then two, the the color temperature's a little too blue because it's catching more of that daylight from the windows. So I'm going to try two things. One, I'm going to warm this up by a few hundred. And then two, let me check my false color real quick. Yeah, that's more where I want it. I mean, it's still a little too hot, but that's okay. I don't want this fade to be too obvious. Now what I'm going to do is come into, this is corrector 7. I'm going to highlight that and automate this. If it'll let me, yep, yeah, perfect, cool. And what I'm going to do is by the time we're here, I'm going to fade this out to 0. So we end up back with this image. Yeah, and then now, here's before. You end up with this really hot white spot. It's too blue. It's because you know, this is, it's just not lining up with that shot either, especially. And then anyways, so now I've taken this to get them to start in a little bit better place than each other. This one might need to be warmed up too now. It's 100. Then yeah, so without, there's some, you know, you're falling from too bright to the good range. And then with this, it starts out, and as you, so let's pull up this gain, look at this key output number right here. This is going to start dropping as the clip rolls through. What? Why didn't we see it change? Defocus. That's the wrong parameter altogether. But it worked. No, it did not. Okay, for whatever reason, it is working. Like, look down in this bottom left window. It is fading in opacity. And then whenever you hit this exact keyframe, it definitely turns to 0. So it's doing what it's supposed to. Even though it strangely enough, it should be showing you this change in number gradually as well on the window. I don't know why it's not. I mean, I guess this window, the node key window, is kind of like the sizing window where it almost like is irrelevant of which node you're trying to even do it on. But I guess that makes sense that the node key would still stick to corrector that's on instead of being like a global adjustment regardless of what node you're in. Okay, learning new stuff every day. This is cool because I've been wanting to play with these kind of like automation keyframe. Sorry, I'm so stuck in calling it automation for music. Especially with power windows and stuff, where I need to start fading them out after certain points. Like say someone's gonna walk in front of that spot or something, and I don't need it anymore, and I want to go away for a few frames. It's nice to know I can automate this key output parameter, even if for whatever reason it seems to be in a strange spot here in the actual matrix down here. So whatever, it works. It does what I wanted it to. Just evens out the shot.
One of my favorite quotes.
I think I kind of want to fix the rhythm between these two.
One of my favorite quotes. One of my favorite quotes that stuck.
Yeah, I don't love that. Let me get that nice and lined up.
One of my favorite quotes.
I thought. Okay, let me watch this all.
Anyone I know that does yoga says that it changed their life. So I was like, how cool would it be to share that with people, to maybe be the person who introduces someone to something that can completely change everything. And so the first studio I ever went to, I asked the lady, I was like, hey, how do I do what you do? Like, I want to teach. She explained all of the steps to me, and it was probably not even a year later that I signed up for a training. Literally invested my life savings in a training. One of my favorite quotes.
Okay. Probably gonna stabilize both these shots right here. Yeah, that helped a lot. Helped a way a lot.
One of my
Perspective, stabilize.
one of
There's some jitter in there. We are gonna have to use a different method. Try similarity.
One of my favorite quotes that stuck with me throughout training and has stuck with me throughout opening.
This shot needs stabilization too. Also, I don't. This is a little too contrasty for my taste. We might have to end up doing another kind of exposure fade on this one. It ends up too bright, starts too dark. Just because they're right near the window where that fall off transition's happening so fast. Like, let me, this is a good instance of the inverse square law at play here. If you're a cinematographer or a videographer or scientist, whatever, you can kind of see the exponential fall off of light happening. It's so dark right here. And as we get closer and closer to the window, it gets so bright. So yeah, that's why I'm gonna probably end up using
With me throughout opening a business and taking all of these risks. With me throughout opening a business and taking all of
If I get the end of it where I want it exposure wise, it's starting a little too dark. And I still think this needs to go a little more. Let's check our colors falsely. Oh yeah. Your throat's blown out, dude. I hate doing that. God damn it. So let's see what that looks like to the eye. Yeah, that's nice. And how's our shadows? Nice and crushed. I'm gonna uncrush them ever so slightly. Yeah. That should look a little less. Yeah. A little more cinematic.
training and has stuck with.
Where were we at in the timeline? It just jumped like crazy. Right here.
With me throughout opening a business and taking. With me throughout opening a business and taking all of these risks.
This shot needs a little love. Okay, it's not even graded. Good. It's definitely dark. Too dark. Alright. I'm glad this is a short clip because probably not something you really want to do, to be honest. I think we're going to need to change the white balance a little bit too because it's underexposed. So I'm boosting it by, and that might be too much. You know, let's try 1.4 stops boosted. I definitely underexposed this a little bit. And we'll apply our contrast from there. Pull my graphs back up. Scopes, whatever the fuck they're called. Yeah, it's a little muddy in the skin tones and low mids, but I mean, it's pretty amazing what you can save with these cameras. Let's be real. Okay, so that needs to even stay where it's at, and we just need, bring it up in there. Get those skin tones pop back to life a little bit. Add the mid-tone contrast. Yep. All right. There's definitely going to be some noise. We're going to have to use some noise reduction before we export it. I'm not going to put it on now because it's going to make it not play back in real time. My computer's decent, but it's not that good comparatively. I'm going to see how much this takes care of that. Oops. Double saturation. Don't need that. That's what we want, that mid-range bump. Okay, so I'm gonna replay with this curve now. Let this do some of the work already. That mid-range bump. It just goes from such a bright shot.
Throughout opening a business and taking all of these risks.
Such a dark shot. Maybe I shouldn't cut him that way. Maybe I should move some things around.
A business and taking all of these risks is to feel like you can do anything. Opening a business and taking all of these risks is to feel like you can do anything, do the thing that scares you the most.
Seems as if we're gonna need another clip now. Great. Even tighter composition.
That stuck with me throughout training and has stuck with me throughout opening a business and taking all of these risks is to feel like you can do anything, do the thing that scares you the most.
Yeah, we're getting somewhere.
One of my favorite quotes that stuck with me throughout training and has stuck with me throughout opening a business and taking all of these risks is to feel like you can do anything, do the thing that scares you the most.
Maybe slow this. Let's see here.
A business and taking all of these risks is to.
I don't think that's perfect. Oh, I just don't like the transition. Okay.
Training and has stuck with me throughout opening a business and taking all of these risks is to feel like you can do anything.
That was a little better.
That stuck with me throughout training and has stuck with me throughout opening a business and taking all of these risks is to feel like you can do anything, do the thing that scares you.
I'm gonna slow this down just a hair.
And taking all of these risks is to feel like you can do anything, do the thing that scares you. All these risks is to feel like.
Or speed it up, whatever.
Like you can do anything, do the thing that scares you the most. And I just come back to that over and over again because it's so.
Yeah, it kind of builds excitement right there. I'm cool with that. And then we can add this or even maybe something different.
All of these risks is to feel like you can do anything, do the thing that scares you the most. And I just come back to that over and over again because it's so true. Every time I do.
Maybe this will work now because there's just a little bit shorter.
Throughout opening a business and taking all of these risks is to feel like you can do anything, do the thing that scares you the most.
Yeah.
And
I don't have any shots of her instructing super clearly where it's like obvious that that's what she's doing, talking to the class and stuff. So that works nice.
Throughout training and has stuck with me throughout opening a business and taking all of these risks is to feel like you can do anything, do the thing that scares you the most. And I just come back to that over and over again because it's so true. Every time I do something that is terrifying, every time I try a new pose that I might fall and bust my face in, every time I open a business or do something crazy, I come out feeling so powerful and like I could literally take on the world.
We are getting there. Okay. Let's try to smooth out now.
Introduces someone to something that can completely change everything. And so the first studio I ever went to, I asked the lady, I was like, hey, how do I do what you do? Like, I want to teach. And she explained all of the steps to me, and it was probably not even a year later that I signed up for a training. Literally invested my life savings in a training. That I signed up for a training. Literally invested my savings.
I wouldn't mind having one more.
Probably not even a year later that I signed up for a training. Literally invested my life savings in a training.
I'm getting too excited.
One of my favorite quotes that stuck with me throughout training and has stuck with me throughout opening a business.
Okay, I think I want to just start a little higher and end a little less.
One of my favorite quotes that stuck with me throughout training and has stuck.
I went too far, guys. Gotta get some of that hand coming in.
One of my favorite quotes that stuck with me throughout training and has stuck with.
A little more.
Quote that stuck with me throughout training and has stuck with me throughout opening a business and taking all of these risks is to feel like you can do anything, do the thing that scares you the most. And I just come back to that. Training and has stuck with me throughout opening a business and taking all of these risks is to feel like you can do anything, do the thing that scares you the most. And I just come back to that.
So a little bit off right here.
Do the thing that scares you the most.
That little flabby part that you hear in the slow waveform is the timing.
Is to feel like you can do anything, do the thing that scares you the most. And I just come back to that over and over again.
Alright, we're gonna kind of like build with the. I'm gonna use all these clips now. We're just gonna build the where the drums, you know, introduce you into the next drop. We're just gonna like go with that whole kind of motif.
Do the thing that scares you the most. And I just come back to that over and over. The thing that scares you the most. And I just come back to that. Anything, do the thing that scares you the most. And I just come back to that over and over. And I just come back to that over and over again. Do the thing that scares you the most. And I just come back to that. And I just come back to that over. Most. And I just come back to that over and over again.
Be a real short clip. Yep. Boom.
One of my favorite quotes that stuck with me throughout training and has stuck with me throughout opening a business and taking all of these risks is to feel like you can do anything, do the thing that scares you the most. And I just come back to that. And I just scares you the most. And I just come back to that over and over again because it's so true.
Few more. We need a few more clips. Yeah, this eats up your shots. But you really don't need much going on in each one because it's just like brain registering. I'm probably gonna mix this up quite a bit too. Quite a bit. Let's go.
Do the thing that scares you the most. And I just come back to that over and I just come back to that over. The thing that scares you the most. And I just come back to that over and over again because it's so.
Let me know if you think this is too much. It is still a yoga video. But I don't want people, like, Instagram is so friggin' slow or fast attention span. I don't want people to feel alienated. You know what I mean? Or I mean, just like tuned out. I don't want them to tune out.
Like you can do anything, do the thing that scares you the most. And I just come back to that over and over again because it's so...
No, that's pretty cool, honestly. I can vibe with that. I might play with the order, and we definitely need another shot or two. Probably. Like from there to there. Just gonna delete the audio before I accidentally go over the vocal track or the edit I made, because sometimes if I'm just using the full song, it's as simple as just dragging the whole thing out. But I have a lot of like I cut this song down a lot to make it be a minute long for make it be a minute for Instagram, because I didn't know this till recently. They won't let you advertise like in like an IGTV, like something that's longer than a minute. It's got to be a minute long. So I made them like a 3-minute cut, but I'm doing this one for Instagram for them, and I thought it'd be a more interesting one to live stream than I got a couple projects that are a little more straightforward and less creative with the editing and stuff. So I thought this one would be a good one to show first. So
come back to that over and over again.
Now let's try to jump around in a more logical way. I kind of want this to be like a hero shot at the end.
And I just come.
And then, actually, that might make sense to go at the end. We want to start towards the beginning while they're bended over. And maybe even here, yeah. This should make more sense.
And I just come back to that over and over again.
The only shot I don't like here is this one. I'm going to trade that out for something different. Maybe another one of these. Okay, cool. That fell on a track we don't have anything on. Great. Now, let's see how this fits in.
And I just come back to that over and over again. I just come back to that over and over.
Okay, I'm not digging that shot. I want to cross cut it with different section. Where's the people kicking? Okay, I'm going to open up my second timeline again and grab all these clips that I've trimmed. In case you haven't ever seen that in Davinci, it's up here in this right corner to add multiples. And I forget how I broke it out like this. So let me put that on the bottom. Now.
One of my favorite quotes that stuck with me throughout training and has stuck with me.
Okay, back up. Where's the hole? Right here. Now we can go through some of these clips that I've already trimmed. There it was. What? Whoop. I'm gonna come to the color tab. Can make this a little easier to navigate. You get your thumbnails here. This is the clip I want. And where is it on the timeline? Right here.
And I just come back to that.
So I just want that action of her kicking. It's a nice little motion.
I just come back to that over and over.
And Let me see now.
The most. And I just come back to that over and over again.
Yeah, I'm feeling that. But I just gotta time it up ever so perfect.
And I just come back to that over and over again. And taking all of these risks is to feel like you can do anything, do the thing that scares you the most. And I just come back to that over and over again because it's so. Come back to that over and over.
Okay, now maybe I want to change that back from reverse.
And I just come back to that over and over again.
Yeah, because then as she comes
that
up,
over and over again because it's so
leads you
true.
up. Perfect. That's what exactly what I want. All right. Let's try to grade some of this stuff. Yeah, this gotta be reset. Gotta reset you. You're good. You gotta get reset. Some of these I already had just a really simple, you know, this extended video LUT thing kind of rocking with it. But I'm going for a manual grade on this because I didn't like how it looked on Instagram originally. So I'm going to see if I can get it to pop a little harder and through these manual grades. So I'm coming in on these clips I just pulled in and haven't manually graded yet, like these. Forgot one. Hold on. What note is this? That's the contrast. Forgot my saturation. Yeah, and then these are like nice and reset for me. This one's got to get reset. Oh, that was her interview. Oops. This one. This one we also got to reset. This guy's good. What I'm looking for is right down here in this Blackmagic film tab, and whether these three nodes, these shared nodes in this node with the curves to set my white and black points is up. This shot's a little too harsh. And this is good. I'm gonna play with this a little bit later. This shot needs to come up a little. But as far as adding shots, I think those are the ones. Let me come around here, film. This one was one that we added. Oh, okay. I'm gonna flip through this whole thing. Make sure they're all on Blackmagic film. Boom. The worst is when you leave one shot in there you didn't color grade right, and then you notice it a month later. Oh, this would have been the one right here, see? I definitely won't leave the log image uncolor graded. that's too obvious. But this one I felt like didn't get something. Definitely didn't get the saturation.
Me, and it was probably not even a year later that I signed up for a training.
What's this one on? Film?
Later that I signed up for a training. Literally invested my life savings in a training.
Film. All these interview shots say video, but they're all underneath just for the audio, so I don't need to change those. We're not using any of her actual talking head in the footage. Just B-roll. Okay. So yeah, it looks like everything's ready to catch a grade on it. Let's see what we get just with that. That's pretty. You know, let's just play a little bit with these curves and make sure it's what we want. Yeah. Pretty much, honestly. Not bad. That's about right. You need that one too, though, don't you? See, I don't like that. Let me zoom in on these. Yeah. Okay. Where are you getting your saturation from already? You definitely are too saturated. Is it just from the contrast? No, that was it right there. Oh, I hadn't made the shared node yet. That's why. That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. Okay, perfect. Now I should just be able to do that for this too. Okay, it's a little bit underexposed. I'll fix that. I hit the zoom. That's an Ursa shot. It's got that 4.6K resolution. Which I like using because then now that I've zoomed in, I get some vertical option to reframe.
All of these risks is to
Didn't really matter in this shot too much, but when you're doing some more geometric stuff that you want to line up perfectly with the grid and everything, give you a little wiggle room. Kind of set if you want to cut the head off or not with some close-ups in terms of like the hairline. It's more flexible. That's why I shoot always in 4.6 even when I know I'm only could shoot it in 4K. Instead, okay. This like kind of feels like I need to change the white and black points completely, not just the exposure. Yeah. But also that a little bit too. Now.
is to feel like you can do anything.
That feels pretty good.
Is to feel like you can all of these risks is to feel.
Why does it look so milky? I mean, I know it's two different cameras, and also she's in a little bit worse light. Is the white balance off? Nope, it wasn't that. All right. In cases like this, I'm just gonna start over. And let's reset this guy. See what the issue is here. I think it's the way I exposed it. Yeah. See, that makes some sense.
Is to feel like. Is to feel like.
What am I thinking about this right now? Like that. Maybe my shadows aren't crushed enough in general. What is up with this shot? It's weird. It's definitely starting to look a little more like the shot before it.
All of these risks is to feel like you can.
Let's back off just a hair on these shadows.
Is to feel like.
Let's try that.
All of these risks is to feel like you can do anything.
Yeah, that's nice.
Like you can do.
This needs a little more oomph. Like, get the skin tones where they need to be. But the shadows
Do anything.
getting milky now.
Like you can do anything. Do the thing that's scary. All of these risks is to feel like you can do anything. Do the thing that's.
Alright, that looks good. Now we're gonna come here and here. 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 Now we're gonna come here and here Boom, 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 boom. I'm liking that. Let's add some saturation and some mid-range contrast. That's looking punchy, but not harsh. Yeah. Color temps off. We're going to go a little warmer on this shot because it's in the shadows. So shadows are a little cooler, usually. Or unless you have a warm light making your fill. But if your shadows are just like naturally falling from the way that, you know, from like a natural light like that, yeah, they're a little cooler. All right, next shot. This looks blue to me. That's what I wonder about my camera sometimes. Here's where we might get to use our highlight recovery a little bit. We'll see if we need it or not. No, we don't need that. Start with your curves. Okay, so yeah, let's see. There you go. That's a good example of what the highlight recovery can do. I'm not going to use it because you can also see what we're getting back if I zoom in here, and it's super unimportant to me. See those little branches. I mean, it does look better, but if we just let it clip out like it should, then you don't get that back, obviously. That's the way the highlight recovery works. What you need to do is pull it down to where it's not clipping, and then it'll unpack all that for you back up. And sometimes you get stuff, sometimes you don't. But it's a cool feature. All right. The main thing is though, like I don't care about these insignificant autofocus branches back here if it's gonna bring our subject's skin tone down into mud and stuff. Which is where we're at right now. Let me see what I can do here. I do want that to hit black, obviously. But I want her skin tone to be a little healthier. Yeah. Now we're going to have to create more contrast around these sections. Yeah. Right there's fine for me. We need our saturation, contrast, and these don't match at all. Because here we have the inverse square law at play in a wide shot. Even a few feet closer, this difference between shadow and bright isn't so extreme. But let's say hypothetically I were to expose so that the walls look like they did in this other shot right here. Well, okay, that looks great, but this shot of Shane, and it's crushed to death now. And that's an example of where like your fall off can just become so rapid. Because of the inverse square law, what it means is for every doubling of the distance from your light source, which would be the window in my 300D thrown up to augment, you're losing you're not having the brightness by doubling the distance, you're quartering it. It's exponential. And as we're finding out with these rates of infection spreading with COVID, that can get out of hand really fast. And with lighting, it's actually the difference between these two subjects at the back of the room wouldn't be that much in exposure, but at the front, it's huge. Much too different for your camera to make up the difference on. So what's our options here? One, we can try to play around with this kind of stuff. Whoop. Which, no, is not working at all. What I think is going to work better is a power window. And what I'm going to do is a pretty heavy vignette on Shane. What? Stop. I want these. Okay. So I'm going to invert that, and then now I'm going to bring down all of these kind of things like around it. And as you can see, it's only affecting the things around her. Now I can bring this whole image up where it needs to be, crush the blacks back down where they need to be. She might even be able to come down back. No. Yeah, now we're not changing the curves so hard to get her skin tones to fit right against the background compared to the rest of this footage we've got. Because when we're exposing like in a better section of the room, the background isn't brighter than the subject when we expose for the subject, but now it is, so it doesn't match the footage. And that's why I've got to now create a darker background through vignette. And I'm going to even now come tug at this a little bit harder. And I like this kind of look. Like, it really makes your subject stand out and pop out. I'm going to come in here and tighten this up a little. So you're starting to see the edges of it. So, yeah, that hides it a little better. Without, with. This image still looks a little washed out and still looks like it needs a little bit more saturation than the rest of them to come to life and match. So now let's see. Yeah, it doesn't really it doesn't poke out like it did. I mean, I'm glad it's only showing for a brief period of time because, like I said, because of that factor of, inverse square law being at play in such a big room and her being kind of right where it makes the biggest difference. Before it, back here in the room, now it's starting to get smooth. Between these two people, there are a few more people back, and that's enough to you see the wall, there's not a huge, let's look at the false color. Yes, this is a little bit brighter, but you're looking at a half stop or less difference between these two versus, well, before I did it, quite a lot more. I've smoothed it out to be like the rest, which is more like a half stop difference. But in the original, yeah, you're looking at much, here's, boom, several stops difference between the subject in the background. And the ratios are just off, and that's why it doesn't look right. But that's the cool thing about Davinci Raw, knowing your power windows, that stuff. Like, certain stuff can be saved in certain situations and kind of relit in post. And, you know, it never looks as clean as if it's correct on set. But we would have needed to get this room such that every shot looked the same would have just been so much work. It would have involved multiple crew members, and it was really just me and Josh that day. And Josh is an electrician, but he's not a filmmaker, so he was super helpful because he had basic gaffing knowledge without knowing the specific equipment. It was kind of nice. It was a really if I didn't have him, I would have been totally screwed in this space. But I was really glad that I didn't have to just completely blow the windows and shoot it. Like, you know, for most of these shots, they have a really consistent look. There's only a couple that stand out like this and really need that massaging with the power windows and crazy curves and stuff. Moving on. Hold on. I want these to re-render themselves.
All of these risks is to feel like you can do anything.
I hate when they show you that preview. This is all looking good. Almost. Yeah, I'm just gonna have to live with it. Those reds are popping a little too hard, aren't they? Let's check our vector scope. They're legal. They're just fully saturated. I'm going to bring it down a tiny bit. It's a little bit distracting. Oh no. Yeah, it just fits in a little better.
And I just come back.
Okay, this shot we've definitely already done. It was right here.
Come back to that over. And I just come back to that over and over again.
Oh, that's completely wrong. All right, we'll do this one from scratch. Go back to our parade. $130. Let's check our false color. That looks nice. All right, I'm gonna add these other. And same thing. This red just a little crazy. I'll pop a secondary color correction on it and just bring it just a hair down. Yeah, it's maybe even not that far. Right there. Okay. We've got a shot like this somewhere. Let's try this. No, that wasn't it. Yeah, not looking bad. I think we're
that over and over again because it's so true. Every time anyone I know that does yoga says that it changed their life. So I was like, how cool would it be to share that with people, to maybe be the person who introduces someone to something that can completely change everything. And so the first studio I ever went to, I asked the lady, I was like, hey, how do I do what you do? Like, I want to teach. And she explained all of the steps to me, and it was...
I missed a shot. couple. This one needs a little more contrast.
She explained all of the steps.
Let's try this. Pop the saturation node on.
To me,
Yeah, that looks nice. We're just gonna bump this up a hair.
and it was probably not even a year later that I signed up for a training.
Shot could match a little better. I'm gonna reset it and try it again. We're on that zoom node. Coming in on the Ursa footage.
That I signed up for a training.
Okay, cool. 5603. Let's add our stuff to this.
Later that I signed up for.
Let's pop into life. Yeah, I can maybe cool it off on this a little.
Me, and it was probably not even a year later that I signed up for a training.
Kinda, oh, that's what it is. I think,
It was probably not even a year later that I signed up for a training. Literally,
I'm gonna add a tiny bit more contrast to this one. Kind of make it match this.
probably not even a year later that I signed up for a training. Literally invested my life savings in a training.
Pretty good.
One of my favorite quotes that stuck with me throughout training and has stuck with me throughout opening a business and taking all of these risks is to feel like you can do anything, do the thing that scares you the most. And I just come back to that over and over again because it's so true. Every time I do something that is terrifying, every time I try a new pose that I might fall and bust my face in, every time I open a business or do something crazy, I come out feeling so powerful and like I could literally take on the world.
Okay, I see a couple situations I want to address. This shot mostly. Warm it up some. And then we're gonna check on this guy. Yeah, that's too much contrast for me. We don't need that much. We can have these fall here, bring up their kind of skin tones, but keep the shadows nice and crunchy.
Every time I try a new pose that I might fall and bust my face in, every time I open a business or do something crazy.
This shot can have a little bit deeper shadows for my taste.
Every time I open a business or do something crazy, I come out feeling so powerful and like I could literally take on the world. Anyone I know that does yoga says that it changed their life. So
This shot could too.
I was like, how cool would it be to share that with people, to maybe be the person who introduces someone to something that can completely...
This shot too.
introduces someone to something that can completely change everything. studio I ever went to, I asked the lady, I was like, hey, how do I do what you do? Like, I want to teach. She explained all of the steps to me, and it was probably not even a year later that I signed up for a training. Literally invested my life savings in a training. One of my favorite quotes that stuck with me throughout training and has stuck with me throughout opening a business and taking all of these risks is to feel like you can do anything, do the thing that scares you the most. And I just come back to that over and over again because it's so true. Every time I do something that is terrifying, every time.
Yeah, that's the shot. I was thinking this one could use a little love. Use a little love for me, darling. I could, oh yeah. How about that? Close, close. It's looking a little better. Yeah, this
because it's so true. Every time I do something that is terrifying, every time I try a new pose that I might fall and bust my face in, every time I open a business.
This shot, I believe, has yeah, it's just still a hair.
Or do something crazy. Every time I open a business or do something crazy, I come out feeling so powerful and like I could literally take on the world.
I think that might be it. Let me we gotta watch the whole video again.
Anyone I know that does yoga says that it changed their life.
Speak
So
up,
I was like,
say
how
anything.
cool would it be to share that with
Yeah.
people, to maybe be the person who introduces someone to something that can completely change everything. And so the first studio I ever went to, I asked the lady, I was like, hey, how do I do what you do? Like, I want to teach. She explained all of the steps to me, and it was probably not even a year later that I signed up for a training. Literally invested my life savings in a training. One of my favorite quotes that stuck with me throughout training and has stuck with me throughout opening a business and taking all of these risks is to feel like you can do anything, do the thing that scares you the most. And I just come back to that over and over again.
Forget one in here.
I just come back to that over and over again because it's so.
Okay, now this shot just needs a little more oomph, like contrast in general.
And I just come back.
And this shot has too much.
And I just come back to that over and over.
And this shot can use a tiny bit more.
Come back to that over and over again because it's so true. Every time I do something that is terrifying, every time I try a new pose that
This can also.
is terrifying, every time I try a new pose that I might fall and bust my face in, every time I open.
And we're gonna pull down some blues.
Bust my face in every time.
Okay, maybe not that hard. We don't want to completely.
Bust my face in every time.
And then we're gonna warm you up, maybe 100 degrees.
Bust my face in every time I open a business or do something crazy. I come out feeling so powerful and like I could literally take on the world.
I definitely noticed this is pretty strong right here in terms of the look. And I would love for that to translate to This shot could be just a hair brighter, but then go down that way.
To share that with people, to maybe be the person who introduces someone to something that can completely change everything.
Like this shot doesn't pop as hard.
And so the first
shot is a little muddy.
Studio I ever went to, I asked the lady, I was like, hey, how do I do what you do? Like, I want to teach. She explained all of the steps to me, and it was probably not even a year later that I signed up for a training. Literally invested.
I think this shot needs more contrast. I see why. Because I have moved it around pretty significantly. Okay. We're going to actually get you in a better starting point. Sometimes this works better. Get the mids where you need them and then adjust it. Like if your midpoint's in the wrong place, there's a lot of ways to fix that. The best way is to shoot it right in the first place. But as you can see on run and gun stuff, that does not always happen. You're just grabbing what you can in the moment super fast. This whole class was like less than an hour, I think. Bada bing, bada boom, you get the idea of the spiel. So, yeah, sometimes the mids can end up just in the wrong spot, kind of. And that seems to be the case here. It's a little bit easier to fix when you've overexposed, I found, unless you've just blown your heart to crap and it just looks bad. It's getting closer. There's even that little lens flare milking the contrast ever so slightly. That has the pop that we want. I'm going to take down the red channel a little bit, though. This one thing I've noticed, too, with the Blackmagics. If you underexpose, sometimes your reds can be a little intense relative to the rest of your colors. Even get into these purples. I'm gonna, without touching the blue, yeah. Before, after. Super subtle. Some of that blotchiness from the noise. Like in here. You can see it's just too orangey for where that red noise is. And we're going to denoise that later, but it's just like an artifact I've noticed of underexposing and then pulling it back in post. Sometimes your reds can get a little funky.
And it was
like this shot doesn't have that issue. It's real clean. Because it was shot at the right exposure. What about this one? See, this one should be fine. I just don't think it's set right. This guy's also sort of in that little bit of a problem spot of the room I was mentioning with the inverse square, where it's in that real heavy fall off zone. Does that have the look? Yeah, that feels pretty close. Better than it was. All right, cool. This one could use a little more too. Alright, I think this is another example of where I exposed for my highlights fine. And now we just need to kind of shift the midpoint by, I guess, stopping a third. See, this is enough. If you need to save your highlights for whatever reason, and you know you only need a boost by a stop or even a stop in a third or so, to kind of, get your shadows up a little, they can handle this real well. So when you start getting over a stop and a half and definitely over 2 stops, your image quality is going to start to suffer quite a bit. It's definitely not like a Sony still camera where you just pump that thing up by 5 stops. Those are gnarly. The raw photos in those. I wish I could get a video codec that beastly. That would be awesome. I guess probably the Venice is like that, but no, I can't afford to shoot on that thing. Not yet. Not yet. Back to our curves. It's a nicer, for sure. Add a little bit more in the mids.
He explained all of the steps to me, and it was probably...
Yeah, that all matches a lot better than it did. A lot of that milkiness is gone.
People to maybe be the person who introduces someone to something that can completely change everything. And so the first studio I ever went to, I asked the lady, I was like, hey, how do I do what you do? Like, I want to teach. She explained all of the steps to me, and it was probably not even a year later that I signed up for a training. Literally invested my life savings into training. One of my favorite quotes that stuck with me throughout training and has stuck with me throughout opening a business and taking all of these risks is to feel like you can do anything, do the thing that scares you the most. And I just come back to that over and over again because it's so true. Every time I do something that is
I'm starting to really like this though.
Every time I try a new pose that I might fall and bust my face in, every time I open a business or do something crazy, I come out feeling so powerful and like I could literally take on the world. Anyone I know that does yoga says that it changed their life. So I was like, how cool would it be to share that with people, to maybe be the person who introduces someone to something that can completely change everything. And so the first studio I ever went to, I asked the lady, I was like, hey, how do I do what you do? Like, I want to teach. She explained all of the steps to me, and it was probably not even a year later that I signed up for a training. Literally invested my life savings into training. One of my favorite quotes that stuck with me throughout training and has stuck with me throughout opening a business and taking all of these risks is to feel like you can do anything, do the thing that scares you the most. And I just come back to that over and over again because it's so true. Every time I do something that is terrifying, every time I try a new pose that I might fall and bust my face in, every time I open a business or do something crazy, I come out feeling so powerful and like I could literally take on the world.
I like it. All right. It is time for me to make some lunch, guys. That's been a really good session. And I'll be back on tonight. I'm going to look at that with fresh eyes after lunch. Probably add a title to the beginning. Maybe the same dissolve, just inverted, or even some basic text that wipes away or something. Track it. Who knows? Maybe we'll try that. Maybe we'll try some 3D motion tracking stuff. But that's probably going to mean Fusion crashing, and that means I have to restart my computer, and that's not really conducive for the live stream. So we'll see if that gets added in. But yeah, if I'm just like happy with this and ready to export it after lunch, then I may start on something new this evening. I've got a lot of projects, and with all this social distancing, I'm not going to be on set for a little bit. So yeah, I'm going to be streaming a ton of different projects. I think I got like 10 or 12 more to edit after this. So yeah, I'll be up later.